Hello, hello, hello. So you have learned so much stuff when it comes to Math 3. And so we're starting off with Math 4, and we're going to be looking at a really quick look at something that you should have learned back in Math 3, maybe even before that. It's called interval notation. All right, with interval notation, this is how we write everything when it comes to our domain and our range. When we talk about intervals of increase, decrease, positive, negative, everything is done in interval notation. So with this, it's going to be kind of important that you know how to do interval notation. Well, interval notation deals with our x values. Well, 9 times out of 10, this is our x values. This is what deals with like domain. I'll just write this over here. This is going to deal with our domain, our intervals for increase, decrease, pretty much all that stuff. Increase, decrease, positive, negative, etc. When it comes to the y values, this is going to be dealing with like our range. So with it, it's going to be important that we know how to write these things in interval notation correctly. So looking at our y values, going from bottom to top, those numbers to top, highest numbers for y's, x's from left to right, the smallest to the largest. That's going to be dealing with our interval notation. Now, before, and this is just a quick informational note. Before, remember when we talked about, let's say, inequalities. Say x is greater than 4. Remember before on a number line you did 4 here. It was before you learned interval notation. It was an open circle there, and it says it's greater than. So we shade all the numbers that are greater than 4, and we have that great stuff. All right, one things that we added when it came to Math 3, and even before, we added infinities here. And we said, okay, well, that's one thing. And let me write this so you guys can see it, right? But we also changed these open and closed circles. When it came to our open and closed circles here, we used parentheses. So that meant also when it came to our greater than signs or less than signs, we use parentheses. But if I were to have something like, let's say x is greater than or equal to 4, just real quick again, on that number line, where you originally did it, was a closed circle right here at 4. We shaded because it's still greater than or equal to, but greater than. Equaling to means it includes 4. We added in our infinities for our last Math 3. And so here, instead of us using our open and closed circles here, we use brackets. So we said whenever we had an inequality that had a less than or equal to or greater than or equal to, we use brackets. So just as a quick thing here, just to make sure we remember how to do all this, on this side over here, I'm going to rewrite this so that we're dealing with the actual brackets and parentheses and all that great stuff. And one thing hopefully you guys remember is wherever the shaded part is, so I'm going to put 4 here. We're going to keep our shaded part here. Hopefully you guys remember that you're always going to cup around the shaded area. Whatever the shaded area is, that's what you cup around. So since here we have the 2 parentheses, the one that's going to cup around it, like you're pouring water into a cup, it's going to cup around this side right here. And it's a quick side note, if I were to use this back one here, it looks kind of stupid here because you're hitting the back of that cup there, back of that parenthesis. Don't make sense. You want to go inside the parenthesis. So here it goes inside. Same thing for this one. We have 4 here. We shade on this side here. The infinity, positive infinity. Again, we're talking about brackets here, and we're going to cup around that shaded area. So the shaded area cups around this way. Again, goes inside of it. All right, so we got that. We're like, cool. And I'm going to throw a less than sign here too, so that way nobody's like, oh my gosh, this doesn't make sense. Like, what happens if it's a less than sign? So I'm going to throw one of these in here. I'm going to throw the equal to in. Let's say -6. All right, so again, real quick, the old way of doing it, we had -6 here. We had a closed circle. It says less than, so we shade this way. Yeah, less than, greater than. All right, we said again was going to be a bracket for this because it has the equal to sign there. So less than or equal to. All right, so just to rewrite it so that we're dealing with what we know already from Math 3. Again, a refresher. -6 there. We know it's shades on this side. So we're going to cup around this one. Now with this again, this can deal with our x values, but also can deal with our y values. So just really quick, just gonna throw the y values in here too, just to do it. Let's say -2. Remember, when we talk about our y values though, we're talking about going up and down. And just as a mental idea or a visual, because I'm a visual learner. Hopefully, I don't know if you guys are or not, but I'm a visual learner. So remember, your x-axis is here. Your y-axis is here. So your y's are going this way. Your x's are going this way. So when we talk about finding our domain, finding our increase, decrease intervals, your positive, negative intervals, you're going from this way to this way because that's your x's. We're talking about our range, going from talking about like our y values. We're going to go from the bottom to the top. Why? Because let's just say here, this is 0. And let's just say here, let's take that 0 off. Let's say this is -2. All right, so we say that we're going to do less than or equal to -2. That means all the small numbers that are smaller than -2 for the y values. So that means that's all the numbers that are right here. Everything from the bottom down here to the top. Here we know we have positive infinity on top because they're positive numbers, negative infinity is on the bottom. Just a reminder over here real quick. Now this is a +1, +2. That goes up to the positive infinity. -1, -2 goes to negative infinity. So we get that. We got it. We're good. All right. So with that, again here, because we're talking about less than or greater than, less than or equal to, we have the equal to, sorry. We're going to put a bracket. So when we do that part here, we're going to put a bracket around this part and cup around that shaded area. So when it comes to y's, we're going to start from the lowest part all the way up to that number. When it comes to x's, we're starting on the left side and go over to get to that number. Here, the bottom to the top, left to the right. All right. So with that, as we have here for interval notation, really quick, just to make sure that everybody is good with writing interval notation. I'm going to do one more quick thing here, so we can make sure we remember how to write interval notation. Oops. Let's see if this shows up. It's not really showing up well, so let me go with this color. This one's going to show well. All right, so we're going to write an interval notation, and let's say we have an a here, which x is greater than. Let's say x is less than. We've done greater than already. Let's say x is less than 1. Then b will say x is say, let's do a thing called a between. Let's do that one. Let's do -5 is less than x, which is less than or equal to 2. Let's throw that in there. Let's do something like that. All right, so really quick, we're going to do everything on a number line. So drawing this number line out, we're going to go ahead and put 1 smack dab in the middle right there. We have greater the arrows there. So we have a negative infinity, positive infinity. All right, we know it's less than, so we're going to shade here on the left side. And then we said when it's less than or equal, when it's less than, we use parentheses, less than or greater than. We use our parentheses there. Remember, we cup around that shaded area. So here, the shaded area is on the left side, so we cup around that over here. So the only thing is now, we just have to write it out in interval notation. And that's the easy part. So here on the left side, we have negative infinity. We start at negative infinity here on the left side. It goes over until we get to 1. On 1, there's a parenthesis. On infinities, we always use a parenthesis. Bam. That's interval notation, guys. So we have to deal with stuff when it comes to domain and range, positive, negative intervals, all the good stuff. Your interval is going to look similar to this. All right, let's go to the other one, B, real quick, and then we'll be done. Get -5, we got 2. All right, so here we shade. This is X is between the two numbers, so it means we shade between the two. We shade between them. All right, here we're going to do, since it's a less than sign, we have parentheses, so less than sign. We're going to cup around the shaded area, so that's this side, cups around it. Here we have an equal to sign, so that means it's going to be a bracket, and again, we cup around that shaded region. So the shaded region is right here, so we cup around that side. So parenthesis on this side, bracket on that side. X is between them, so we shade between. Always going to happen like that, so don't make it hard. Please don't make it hard. If it's X in the middle, you shade in the middle. Bam. So last part is we're going to put the two numbers down. Starts at -5, ends at 2. There's a bracket on 2. There's parenthesis on -5. So you see where it starts, where it stops, and you write it out there. So again here, domain is going to go from left to right. Range is going to go from the bottom to the top to see where things exist. And guys, that's interval notation. That's all it is. All right, so hopefully you guys remember that. If not, just let me know and I can get you some more information to help you remind you for this. All right, take care.